you for joining us today for this tax information workshop. I would especially like to thank the representatives from the IRS and the Taxpayer Advocate Service for making themselves available to assist my constituents with their tax questions. I know how stressful tax time can be, and sometimes help filing taxes can be too expensive or too difficult for folks to access. This year especially, many folks who receive COVID relief funding, whether as an individual, a couple, or for their small business, have questions about how this will impact their filing process. So I hope that today you are able to get your questions answered and to get the help you need. I'm going to turn things back over to my staff, but I also wanted to thank our Economic Development Advisory Committee, and I wanted to thank April for her leadership. So thank you so much, April. And again, to everyone, thanks for joining us today. And please be sure to reach out to my office if you need any further assistance with IRS questions. April?
Thank you, Congresswoman Kelly. I would like to welcome everybody, as Congresswoman Kelly said, to our tax information workshop. We have Susan Gaines, who's a Congressional District Liaison from the IRS Legislative Affairs, and Andrew Van Single, who's a local taxpayer advocate from Taxpayer Advocate Services. So Susan and Andrew, I'm going to turn everything over to you. They're going to first do the presentation. If you have questions, we'll take your questions afterward. Or how do you guys want to do it? Do you want to take the questions after your presentation?
Yes, we'll take them after.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, April, and thank you, Congresswoman Kelly, for having us this afternoon or in morning where Andrew is. And we just appreciate the opportunity to have the time to reach out to your constituents and give them a little information about tax time and what they need to know. So we have a lot of information that we want to talk about today. We want to discuss some tax filing tips, where to get help filing your tax return. There's some what if situations that you may have encountered due to the pandemic. I want to share those with you. Talk about some IRS services and online tools. I want to briefly discuss the first and second round of economic impact payments, also known as the 2020 Recovery Rebate Credit. Then I'll briefly talk about the third round of economic impact payments that just started this week. And then I'm going to turn it over to Andrew Van Single to talk about the Taxpayer Advocate Service and what they could do to help you. And then when we conclude with our presentations, we'll get into a question and answer session. So with that, I want to start with the first topic, which is some tax filing tips. The IRS began processing 2020 tax returns on February 12th. When you get ready to file, we want to ask you to make sure that you file a complete and accurate tax return. And we highly recommend that you file that tax return electronically to avoid any refund delays. Not only is electronic filing the safest and most accurate way to file a tax return, e-file tax returns have fewer errors, which means fewer delays. And when you file your tax return electronically, be sure to request direct deposit. Filing electronically and choosing direct deposit remains the fastest and safest way to file an accurate income tax return and to receive your refund. And speaking of refunds, most refunds are received within 21 days. Refund information is generally available on irs.gov on the Where's My Refund tool or the IRS To Go app that you can download on your smartphone or tablet. And of course, opposite of getting a refund is when you owe. We do recommend that if you owe taxes for 2020, that you file your tax return by April 15th, even if you can't pay the full amount. If you believe you may have trouble paying that full amount, file anyway by April 15th and pay as much as you can, even if you can't full pay. That way, anything that you already pay, you can avoid paying any interest and penalties on. Filing on time is very important if you owe, because the late filing penalty and the late payment penalty on taxes owed adds up quite quickly. The IRS does offer several payment options, such as a short-term extension to pay, an extended payment plan, possibly an offer and compromise where the IRS will settle for less than the total amount that you owe. And if you can't pay it all, you can request that the IRS temporarily delay the collection process until your financial situation improves. You can find more information about making payments on the IRS website at irs.gov/payments. And then one more thing before I move on, there's, for the first time ever, there's a new now available in Spanish. So this is the first time ever these return forms are available in Spanish. But also there's a new Schedule LEP. This form is available for those that have language, that speak a language other than English as their first language. So you can use the new Schedule LEP to inform the IRS if you have a preference to receive written communications from the IRS in a language other than English. Now you may be wondering where you can get help filing your tax return. If you're computer savvy and your income is below $72,000, you can use IRS Free File. The IRS Free File program is a public-private partnership between the IRS and many tax preparation and filing software industry leaders who provide those brand name products for free. Or if you need personal assistance filing your tax return, you also have options. If your income's under $57,000, you can use our volunteer income tax return locator service available on the IRS website to find places where you can get your tax return or assistance with your tax return for free. Or if your income's above one of the two amounts that I've already mentioned, or maybe you have a more complex tax return and you need some face-to-face help, you can use our Choosing a Tax Professional tool to help find the right tax preparer to help you. There are various types of return preparers. There's certified public accountants, CPAs, enrolled agents, attorneys, and then there's other very skilled tax professionals that do not carry a professional credential, but they are very much able to help you complete an accurate tax return. And you expect your tax return preparer to be skilled in tax preparation to help you file that return. The person that you choose to help you with your return, you're trusting that person with your very most personal information. They know about your marriage. They know about what your income is. They know who your children are. They know when everybody's born. They know your social security numbers. They know all of the details of your financial life. And most tax return preparers do provide outstanding professional service. However, each year, some taxpayers are hurt financially because they chose the wrong tax return preparer. We want to make sure that you check our tips for choosing a tax preparer found on that Choose a Tax Pro webpage. And also be sure that you know how to avoid unethical ghost return preparers. Now, a ghost return preparer is someone who you pay to do your taxes, but they refuse to sign your tax return as the paid tax return preparer. These unscrupulous ghost preparers will print the tax return and tell you to sign it and mail it to the IRS. Or they might actually electronically file the return, but they're going to refuse to digitally sign the return as that paid tax return preparer. By law, anyone that is paid to prepare a tax return or assist in preparing a federal tax return must have a valid practitioner tax identification number or PTIN. In addition, these paid preparers must sign your tax return and include their PTIN on your return. If you pay someone to prepare your tax return and they don't sign it, that's a red flag that they may be just looking to make a fast buck by promoting a big refund or charging a fee to you based on the amount of your refund. These ghost tax return preparers also require that, or they could require that you pay them in cash only and not provide you with a receipt. They sometimes invent income to qualify you for a larger tax credit, or they claim fake deductions to boost the size of your refund or direct your refund into their bank account, not yours. We just want to make sure that you have the steps and the information available to help you choose a tax return preparer wisely. Now, there's some other changes and some special circumstances related to COVID-19 that the IRS wants you to think about before you file your tax return. People facing financial difficulties may find that there's a tax impact to certain events they've encountered, such as a job loss or debt forgiveness, or maybe tapping into the retirement fund. In addition, the information on your 2020 tax return may look very different than the information on your 2019 tax return. You should check the IRS's What Ifs for Struggling Taxpayers webpage for some scenarios that may have a tax impact on your return. Understanding how last year's tax changes affect you, your family, and your tax return is very important. The IRS created a web page to help you. On this page, there are some what-if scenarios that you might find helpful, such as job-related situations. What if I lost my job? What if I received unemployment? What if my income declined? What if I'm still searching for a job? What if my employer went out of business, or if I had my own business and I had to close it? What if I had to take money out of my IRA? There's debt-related situations as well, such as what if I had to sell my house for a loss? Or what if I've had debt that's been forgiven? Or what if I'm insolvent or I had to file for bankruptcy protection? And then there's also some tax-related situations on this page. What if I can't pay my taxes? What if I already have a payment plan with the IRS, but I can't make those payments? What if the IRS has filed a tax lien on my home, or there's a garnishment on my wages that's causing a hardship? What if I have tax problems with the IRS I can't solve? Or what if I need legal representation to help me with my tax problems, but I can't afford that representation? You'll find these items and other items on this page. Be sure to check it out if you've encountered any new, unusual, or hardship situations due to the difficulties many have experienced over this past year. Now I want to talk about some of the IRS services and online tools available to you. The IRS has round-the-clock information available on our website, and millions of people use irs.gov to help them file and pay their taxes, or to get information about their accounts and to answer their tax law questions. The first thing I have listed here is the online account tool. That's an online system that allows you to securely access your individual account information. On the site, you can find information such as how much you owe, your payment history, or any scheduled or upcoming pending payments, key information from your most recent tax return, digital copies of notices from the IRS, how much your first and second economic impact payments were if you received those. You can also use this tool to set up a payment plan online, or to access your tax records, such as getting a tax transcript. Now, to obtain access to your online account, you will have to go through a secure access platform. And there's more information on that webpage that discusses the secure access platform. Now, another tool available on our website is the Interactive Tax Assistant. This is a tool that helps provide answers to several tax law questions specific to your individual circumstances. Based on the information that you put into the system, the tool can help you determine things such as, do you even have to file a tax return? Or what's my filing status? Can I claim head of household? Can I claim someone as a dependent? Is this certain type of income I receive taxable? Am I eligible to claim any tax credits? Or can I deduct certain expenses? And lots more. You can find all of those topics and many more using the search feature, or there's a category list right there on the web page. And then a couple other things, our Let Us Help You webpage will point you in the right direction to get help with most tax questions and provide you with a list of the best phone numbers to call based on your situation. We also have an IRS Services guide, that's IRS Publication 5136, that links to all of the sites that I've mentioned today and some other available IRS services. And then you may already be aware of this one if you've ever been waiting on a tax refund before, but There's the Where's My Refund tool. It has the most up-to-date information available about your tax refund, and it's updated daily, so there's no reason to check it more than once a day. Now I want to talk about the first and second economic impact payments and the 2020 recovery rebate credit. Now, the first and second economic impact payments were based on either your 2018 or your 2019 tax return, or if no tax return benefits. And these payments was in 2 rounds. The first payment was up to $1,200 or up to $2,400 if it was a married couple filing jointly, plus up to $500 for each qualifying child. And then the second payment was up to $600 or $1,200 if you filed jointly with your spouse, plus up to another $600 for each qualifying child. Now, these payments were reduced if your income was above certain limits, and those payments are not taxable. And at this time, the IRS has issued all first and second round payments that could be sent. If you didn't get a first or second round payment or got less than the full amounts, you may qualify for the recovery rebate credit, but you must file a 2020 tax return to claim that 2020 recovery rebate credit, even if you don't normally file. Now, these economic impact payments, the first and second round, were paid as an advance payment of the 2020 recovery rebate credit. And the 2020 recovery rebate credit has very similar eligibility requirements, except those eligibility requirements are based on your 2020 tax return information and circumstances. A change in your income or circumstances from 2019 or 2018 to 2020 could make you eligible for the 2020 recovery rebate credit. For example, you may have received less than the full economic impact payment because your income was too high in 2018 or 2019. And now you can claim the credit because your income is less. Or maybe somebody claimed you as a dependent for 2018 or 2019, but for 2020, you can't be claimed as a dependent. So now you may be eligible for that 2020 recovery rebate credit. If you're eligible and you didn't receive either the first or the second economic impact payment, or you think you qualify for more than you actually received, then you should look into claiming the 2020 recovery rebate credit on your 2020 tax return. As I stated, you must file a 2020 return in order to get the recovery rebate credit, even if you're not normally required to file. For more information, including eligibility qualifications, you can go to irs.gov/RRC. Now, something new happened last week. The American Rescue Plan Act was approved, which caused the IRS to start issuing the third round of economic impact payments. And those payments began over the weekend and will continue over the next few weeks. The initial round of payments were sent via direct deposit. And as I said, some have already received them. Some will start receiving them this week. And additional batches will be sent in the coming weeks by direct deposit or through the mail by a check or an EIP debit card. The vast majority of these payments, though, will be issued via direct deposit. Now, these third round of stimulus payments were authorized by the 2021 American Rescue Plan Act, and they do differ from earlier payments in several respects. The third stimulus payment will be larger for most people. Most families will get $1,400 per person, including all dependents claimed on their tax return. Typically, this means a single person with no dependents will get up to $1,400, while a family of 4, such as a married couple with 2 dependents, will get $5,600. Also, unlike the first 2 payments, the third stimulus payment is not restricted to children under 17. So qualifying dependents include all dependents on the tax return, including older relatives, such as a college student or an adult with a disability or a parent or grandparent. Now, no action is needed by most individuals to receive their payments. They will be automatic, and in many cases, be received similar to how you received your first or second amount first or second economic impact payment. You can actually go into the IRS website and check the Get My Payment tool now, and that tool is available in English and Spanish, and it's only available on irs.gov. Now, most people will get these payments, like I said, automatically. You won't need to take an additional action. We're going to use the information available already in our system to determine eligibility and to issue the payments to eligible people who have already filed a 2020 tax return, or maybe they filed their 2019 return if the 20 return has not been submitted or processed yet. Or maybe someone did not file a 2020 or 2019 tax return, but they registered for the first economic impact payment using that non-filers portal that the IRS had last year. Also, federal benefit recipients as of December 31st, who do not normally file a tax return, but they receive Social Security or railroad retirement, including SSI, or veterans benefit recipients. The IRS is working with those agencies to get updated information for 2021 to assist the IRS in issuing the stimulus payments for that group at a date yet to be determined. Follow the IRS on irs.gov for more information. You can go to irs.gov/EAP, where you'll find out who's eligible for the third economic impact payment and what income amount qualifies you, how the IRS will know where to send a payment. It discusses, what if I change my bank account, or how will people receive a check or a debit card, how married couples are affected if only one of the couple has a Social Security number, or if they didn't file for 2019 or 2020 and they didn't register using that non-filers tool, can they still get a payment? And more. You can find more information about all the economic impact payments at irs.gov/EAP. You can check your payment status at irs.gov/getmypayment. And for other COVID-19 related tax relief, you can visit irs.gov/coronavirus. Now I want to turn it over to Andrew Van Singel to talk about the Taxpayer Advocate Service. Andrew?
All right, very good. Thank you so much. My name's Andrew Van Singel. I'm the local taxpayer advocate for the Chicago TAS office. Wanted to thank Congresswoman Kelly for having us here today to have this important conversation. TAS is an independent agency within the IRS, and we help taxpayers and help taxpayers protect their rights. We can offer you help if your tax problem is causing a financial difficulty, or if you've tried to and been unable to resolve your issue with the IRS, or if you believe an IRS system, process, or procedure just isn't working the way that it should. TAS helps all taxpayers and their representatives, including individuals, businesses, and exempt organizations, and we offer our services for free. Next slide. At Taxpayer Advocate, we primarily work on individual issues, but we also do systemic advocacy, which means we look at more big picture issues or issues impacting more than one taxpayer and advocate for change in the IRS or in the tax laws. So before coming to TAS, we ask that taxpayers try to resolve their problem with the IRS first. And if you can't, then you can come to our office and we'll be happy to assist you. If we take your case, you're going to be assigned to a case advocate who's going to be with you every step of the way. Your advocate will listen to you, help you understand what needs to be done, and stay with you until the end of the case, until your issue is resolved. TAS employees know the IRS, they know how to navigate the system, and we'll be right there with you for every step of the way. So that can be a little bit challenging for the, if you still have an issue for 2019, say your return still isn't processed, we're working a lot of those cases. We're just starting to see some issues pop up with the 2020 returns, and due to some the way that those returns are being processed, we're not quite ready to work those cases. We're asking that those systems try to catch up because a lot of it's just a matching issue, And so starting April 15th, we'll be able to start working those 2020 tax return issues. Okay, next slide. So in addition to providing direct assistance to taxpayers, TAS also has oversight over 2 other programs, which is the tax clinics and the taxpayer advocacy panel. The clinics are the LITCs. I used to run one of these before coming to the IRS at Prairie State Legal Services, just outside of Chicago. They're one of over 130 independent clinics, independent from the IRS and Taxpayer Advocate, that represent taxpayers whose income is below 250% of the federal poverty level and have, a controversy with the IRS. Clinics can help represent taxpayers in all sorts of matters, audits, appeals, tax court, collection, etc. The services are offered at no cost. And for more information on how to find a clinic near you, you can go on the IRS's website and search LITC, or you can look up publication 4134, which has a list of all the clinics across the country. So in the Chicago area and in the 2nd Congressional District, there's kind of some overlapping territory. So I think there's about 5 clinics that operate within the 2nd Congressional District. And I know Notre Dame, which is just, across the way in South Bend, they kind of do a geographic area as well. So they would be an option for taxpayers in the 2nd District as well. So Taxpayer Advocacy Panel is a federal advisory committee, and that's comprised of citizen volunteers who listen to taxpayers, identify taxpayer issues, and make suggestions to improve the IRS in terms of customer service and satisfaction. In this way, taxpayers have the opportunity to provide direct feedback to the IRS through TAP. And right now, TAP is actually recruiting new members. It's a 3-year term. And I actually was a TAP member when I was back in private practice, and I found it to be a good experience. So you can either participate in TAP by being a member, or you can help TAP by submitting issues or suggestions for improving the IRS through their website, which is up on the screen here, which is just improveirs.org. All right, next slide. So we urge you to check out TAS's website or sign up to follow us on various social media platforms. You can see here we're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We have a Taxpayer Advocate blog. We have a lot of great information on our website. We host problem-solving events across the country. So these are events where anyone can kind of show up at a local library or whatever it may be. Prior to COVID, we would actually be in person. We've been doing some of these events virtually, but hopefully we're turning the corner on COVID, and we're going to start being able to do more of those in-person events here soon. So lots of great information there. Be sure to check that out. I know it was very short, but Susan had a lot of the great information, and I want to get to some of the questions and answers. So I'll turn it back to our moderator here to see if we can resolve some of these burning tax questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew and Susan. So I see that we have one person who raised their hand, Kimberly Jackson. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand, and we'll allow you to ask your questions. So what happened to Kimberly? Did she leave? She had her hand raised. Now, oh, here she is. So I'm gonna allow her to talk right now. So Kimberly, please unmute so you can talk. So you can ask your question. Can you hear me, Kimberly? Let me see. Okay.
She said, please disregard in the chat.
Oh, okay, I didn't see her. I'm sorry. So does anybody else have any questions?
Nobody's got a question about their unemployment income?
Or taxes or...
So Susan, I don't recall if you said anything about that, but that was a big change that just came out essentially on Thursday. And so right in the middle of the filing season, and I don't think we have any guidance on that. Is that correct?
That is correct, Andrew, and that's a good question. Right now, we're working on additional guidance for those provisions that could affect 2020 tax returns, including that retroactive provision that makes the first $10,200 of 2020 unemployment benefits non-taxable. We are asking that no one go ahead and file an amended return yet. Let the IRS have some time to provide a worksheet for paper filers and get the tax software industry information to update their software so that individuals can determine how to report their income, their unemployment income on their 2020 return. Again, if they received unemployment for 2020 and they've already filed their 2020 tax return, we do emphasize, please don't file an amended return yet. We want to work on some additional guidance before you do that. So great point, Andrew. Thank you.
So we do have one question from Barbara Nettles. She typed it in the chat. I'll ask it for her unless she wants to say it. But it's, how can you take a deduction for lost money due to the pandemic?
Hi, Barbara. That could be several different situations where you lost money. It could be sold stock that you lost money on. It could be the decrease in value on your IRA. If you look at that what ifs for struggling taxpayers page that I pointed out during the presentation, and this will be posted to Facebook Live later, so you could go back and capture that if you need to. Look and see if your question's addressed on that page, because there's several different situations you could be referring to. Or you can send an email to Congresswoman Kelly's office, and I can directly answer that with some more information.
We have a question from Karen Bell. Karen, I just unmuted you. So you want to answer your question? Ask your question, Karen.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Great information. I do have a question about the unemployment for the 2020. I wasn't sure. You're saying hold off to file if you got unemployment in 2020. Can you elaborate on that just a little further?
If you've already filed your tax return, we're asking you to wait to file an amendment tax return. We want to look at some guidance and see if you're actually going to need to file an amended return, or if maybe the IRS will be able to correct that information. We're still up in the air on what we're going to be able to do with that. However, most software should already have the update in place if you want to file your 2020 tax return now, but you just want to make sure that it's not including the first $10,200 of your 2020 unemployment compensation when you file. So we hope to get more guidance out soon on how this is going to impact individual taxpayers.
Okay, so just for clarity, the first $10,000 plus of your 2020 unemployment is looking to be untaxable?
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Karen, that was one of the provisions in the American Relief, the taxpayer relief package that was signed into law on Thursday. And that's why we just don't have any guidance on it, because it literally happened a couple days ago, that the first $10,200 could be excluded. And so I think the messaging is, I'm assuming guidance is going to come out pretty quickly. So I think the worst thing you can do is I would try to, if you do have unemployment, maybe wait a few days to see what that guidance is. And that can kind of segue into a point that we have here at Taxpayer Advocate, which is, why do people come to Taxpayer Advocate? Well, a lot of times the systems broke down, they filed the return. It could be something more than a return. It could be identity theft. It could be any other type of interaction with the IRS where they need assistance. But we see a lot of cases this time of year where the taxpayer did not submit a correct return. And that could mean a number of different things. They could have left off a form called a 1095A. That's the form that you get if you have healthcare coverage through the marketplace. When you get that, there's a healthcare subsidy. And if you file your return and don't include it, it goes into this department within the IRS that's been significantly kind of hampered because of COVID. And so they have a significant backlog. And so there are taxpayers who filed returns back in March of last year who didn't include their 1095A and got put into this department here. And they're still trying to resolve that backlog. And so that's why we're cautioning you not to, without that guidance, to not take that action or to file an amended return. Because although you can now file an amended return electronically, most of those are getting submitted by paper. And so the IRS is really struggling right now to keep on top of any like paper correspondence. So if you're mailing your return or if you're mailing a payment, we just really encourage you, to the extent that you can do so, try to do all of that electronically. E-file, you can go online and pay electronically. You can set up an installment agreement online. That's usually the best way to interact with the IRS, because a lot of those processes are automated and you can get some sort of instant kind of confirmation that was accepted. So that's the biggest issue we see during the filing season. Taxpayers they don't include all of their W-2s. Maybe they worked 4 or 5 jobs and they're waiting for this last W-2. Maybe they only worked at this place for a couple of weeks and they're waiting. They say, I got to get this refund. So they go out, they file the return, and they're actually causing themselves a lot more harm by filing a return that's inaccurate. Because it used to be the IRS would just send out that refund and they would send you a notice later saying that there was an issue. But now they're trying to verify that return on the front end to make sure it's accurate before it's going out. So we really try to hammer that point and to kind of get it right the first time. That's the best way to avoid issues with the IRS.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. I have one other question is, I usually file with one of the tax agency myself, and because of the COVID and the unemployment that I'm receiving, should I go to, is that still the best way to file, like with H&R Block or TaxAct, just through their through the website?
Yes, I think the best way to file, especially if you've been filing your taxes the same way every year, then continue to use the software or the tax professional that you've used in the past and that you have, been successful with. So yes, continue to use the same tax professional or the tax software that you're used to using.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome, Karen.
So we have 2 questions from Kimberly Jackson. Kimberly, do you want to ask it yourself or do you want me to read it off for you?
I can ask.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, I filed electronically for 2019 and I did it in February of 2020. So this was before we even were fully aware of the pandemic. And I have yet to have that acknowledged. However, my accountant has provided me with the paperwork to confirm that it was. And I did receive my state refund. So these things happened together. So it should have been done federal as well. Should I proceed with filing my 2020 return now, or should I wait to get some type of acknowledgement from the IRS as well before I do that?
Well, let me take the first part of that. Regarding your 2019 filing, it's unclear as to whether that was fully processed, and that kind of is contingent on your second question, which is, can I file your 2020 return? Absolutely can file your 2020 return. However, some software requires you to put in your prior year adjusted gross income, and if that return is still hung up in that error resolution department, it's not going to detect a adjusted gross income. So if that's the case, the number you would put in there is going to be 0. However, if your return is processed, which it doesn't sound like it is, because it sounds like you got your state refund already, but you're still waiting on that 2019 refund, you probably, I would reach out to the Congresswoman's office, because that may be a case, an individual case that we can look into and try to help you with.
Okay, it's already in their queue, so hopefully you guys are working on it.
We'll be talking to you soon then. Okay,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Oh, so Barbara Nettles has her hand up. Okay, Barbara, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yes, I have a question. I planned a party for myself in April 2020. I put a $1,400 deposit for the party. It was canceled due to COVID. The company appears to have gone out of business. They have not answered any of my phone calls or emails. Is there any way I can take that deposit of $1,400 off my income tax?
Barbara, that's a very good question, and I would actually have to look up. I've been with the IRS a long time, and I know you in prior years you could deduct what we call a bad debt on your individual tax return as a capital loss. But I really need to be able to do some research on the IRS website to get you the correct answer to that question. So if you don't mind reaching out to Congresswoman Kelly's office with that in writing, I'll be glad to look it up, this afternoon and get you an answer back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Does everybody have our information? How to contact Congresswoman Kelly's office? If not, Louise, could you type it in there, please, if possible? I will type our information in the chat if you need. Do we have any more questions? Okay, so no questions, anybody? Okay, because I know tomorrow we'll be doing tax information workshop for small businesses and non-for-profits. So if you have a business and you have more questions, that will be those questions will be answered tomorrow in more detail. But do you have any questions on individual or joint personal taxes? Well, since we have no more questions, I just want to thank both Andrew and Susan today for helping us out and giving us all the information we need, hopefully, to file our taxes. Only thing I want to ask, so for people who did have unemployment, should they wait maybe a week?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I would say wait until you get the guidance, because again, it could be one of those things where I know people are really, desperate for those refunds. Times are tough, but if you're do it incorrectly, it could delay it. Like I said, we still have on March 15, 2021, we still have a significant amount of issues from 2019 tax returns that were filed about a year ago because there was something that was very technically incorrect. And I don't want people to fall into that trap because it may delay the refund for many months. And so I would continue to visit the IRS website and look for that guidance. Like I said, I think that's got to be coming very soon because that's a big topic, a big question I got over the weekend. Half a dozen friends and family texted me, what do I do? I say, I don't know. So stay tuned for that. Guidance is coming.
Okay. And then we do have Congress, our phone number in the chat for everybody. That's 708-679-0078. And let them know that you participated on at this webinar. And then you talk to the panel, and that is, and I'm typing Susan. I'm gonna type in Susan's name so you can have her full. K-A-I-N-O-U-S. And Susan, you are a congressional
District Liaison.
district. And then Andrew.
Local taxpayer advocate.
Local. I know I took typing classes. Taxpayer advocate. So you can just let everybody know when whoever answers the phone when you call our office that you were on the you participated in the taxpayer informational workshop, and that Susan and Andrew were on the were our panelists. So if no one has any more questions, I'd like to thank our two panelists, Susan and Andrew, and like I said, for all the information you shared with us today.
Thank you,
Thank
April.
you. Have a great day.